Welcome everybody to part 3 of our Pest Management 101 webinar. I'm Lori Robison and I'm Kathy Seeley. We hope that this will be an informative session for us and that you'll feel real confident at the end of this series to be able to host your own shows. I want to give a special shout out and welcome to Russ Hobby, who is joining us today. Who's got, well, we'll just call him Mr. CompWeb. He is the administrator for the site and knows just about everything there is to know about CompWeb. So thank you, Russ, for joining us this morning. And feel free just to interject wherever you feel like we need a little extra information, or if we don't cover anything quite as fully as we could. But thank you for being here. Let's see. Let's go ahead and just check to make sure that we don't have any questions or comments from anything that we've got thus far. So I'm just going to open it up because we've already done quite a few things and given you the opportunity to play a little bit with the Sunshine Show test site. So if there are anything that we need to go over past things, if anybody is bringing questions forward or has comments coming forward, now's your time before we dive into the rest of our things here.
Hi, this is Cindy. A quick question. I was able to join you for part 2 and this one part 3. And I see the documents you've uploaded or you emailed to us for part 3. Were there any that I missed for part 1 or 2?
We didn't send anything out for part 2, but there were several things that we did send out for part 1. So part 1 things. Thank you for asking about those. We'll get those off to you before the end of the day.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking. Anything else? Okay. If you think of something, feel free to pipe up. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and start with our part 3. Now, as you recall, we started our little sunshine show. So I'm going to, I'm going to go ahead and leave our little welcome screen here. I'm going to, oops, this is a different show that I'm working on. So I'm going to start over here. And I'm going to go backwards and come back here to our sunshine show. Because what we've got working on here is we're going to start working on how to get our order of go together. And I think that our password, for those of you who don't know what it is, it's webinar. And something that we can do here, even before we do something, is down here in utilities, if we have closed our entries, if we've reached our close of entries, we can click this button right here and it'll get rid of any clubs that have not signed up for our show. So basically it just cleans up our entries. So some of these things that we have invited, not everybody that was invited is going to come to our show, unfortunately. So we want to get rid of the ones that we don't have anything for. So I'm going to click this button right here. And I'm going to click OK. And all these clubs that did not enter our show are now going to be gone. So what we have left are the 4 clubs that have entries in our show. Oh, here we go. I wasn't up high enough. right here, it's going to take us to a page that has several options here. Did we already sequence it? Okay. And we already added timing.
We can go to the sequence again just to show where we're at.
Okay. So what we've already done is we've already decided what day we want these classes and in what order we want the classes to be in. So we have our, and I think that we started doing this at the end of the last time that we were meeting. So basically what we're starting with is gold compulsories, and we're going to start at 9 o'clock. We have Judge Sue D. Toll as our pretend judge in here. And then we're going to go to C-Team, and then we're just going to go right to C-Team Freestyle, that poor horse. And we're going to go to Silver Compulsories, you know, and by the way, that is something that you do need to watch out for setting these orders of go, is you don't want to have the same horses coming in again and again and again, because they will be very tired.
Russ, here's a question for you. If I come here and I see this C-Team comps and freestyle together, and I edit the freestyle to make it later in the day, let's say to spot 7, and I modify it, now I end up with 2 7s. And I know that in one email sequence you had said that it would readjust itself. I know that that happens when you initially set up the class here, down in this section, that it will readjust. But is there a way when you edit it to have it automatically adjust?
Are you there, Russ? You might need to hit your unmute, because I think I did mute everyone.
Okay, well, there is that question. So we'll leave that out there for right now and move on. Okay.
So we've made this order. So I'm going to click done. Go back here. The timing tool, we talked a little bit about that. And in your emails, you should have gotten this little gem that Kathy has made and we've used in past shows that seem to work pretty well for us. The timing for different classes here. So you should have that in your emails. If you don't, let me know and I'll send it.
It's totally set up.
Okay. Unmute everybody so that we can get. Okay, so for the timing tool, we're here. We have some classes, looks like 4 of them, that still don't have a time yet. So C-Team, 1-star compulsory. Sometimes what we can do with that is just set a base time. Usually you can set it for about a minute per person on the team, and then another minute. So I'm going to say 7 minutes for this base time. Okay, Russ has chimed in. He was trying to talk, but it wasn't coming through for some reason.
Can you hear me at all now?
Oh, there you are, Russ. I can hear you.
Okay.
Do you want to go back for that other question?
Yeah, so on that, There is an option down at the bottom to resequence everything. You get 2 of the 7s, and you can make sure that they're actually in the right order. And if they aren't, then you can change those numbers, and then it'll correct it.
So if I put day 1 here and arena blue, I can hit resequence arena as long as my classes are in the order that I want, and then it resequences. I see that. Okay. Yep. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So that question is answered. Thank you, Russ. And okay, so back to the timing tool here. We gave that team 7 minutes to do their thing, and the preliminary two-phase team sometimes 5 if they have an alternate. So I'm going to give them 6 minutes. I'm going to add that. And a C-team freestyle, that's a prescribed 4-minute routine. And if we give them 2 more minutes, some time to run in and some time for the scoring to happen, I'm going to give them 6 minutes and zero this out. And the two-phase team freestyle, I'm probably going to give them 7 minutes because it takes them a little bit longer to score a freestyle. Okay, and so now we don't have any more classes here. That means all the classes that we have listed in our show have a timing increment time for it, so that in the order of go, it'll allow the appropriate amount of times for each classes and between each vaulters. Okay, general information tool. If you want to just put something like thanks for coming, or you think of something else you want to put at the bottom of the page, then you can put it here. And then always you want to look for a done button. If there's a done button, that's the button you want to push. Okay, now we're going to go to the random drawing. This is the magic button that will make your order of go. So in your prize list, when you say the order of go will be done such and such a date and such a time, all that will get you ready to do that. So I'm going to just hit perform draw. It says it's completed. So I'm going to say done. I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to go to the order of go printing options. And this will say how big you want your font, your lines. You can specify which days you want. I'm going to go ahead and do day 1, and I'm going to say blue arena, and then and look, voila, it's magic. We have our gold individual compulsory, our 1-star compulsories, and since we did that fun little thing and we moved where our freestyle was going, we're going to go into silver individual compulsories, bronze individual, C-team, etc.
You can see here in this one class, bronze individual, we had OC vaulting sign up with their horse, but there's no vaulter, so that would be something where when you're running this, you're going to take a look at that and go to OC vaulting and go on back. We're going to go to their team and go to their club entry. And let's look at their individual entry for bronze. And as you can see, it says there's no vaulter listed yet. So it also, as you noticed, didn't show a lunger. All it showed was the horse. So we can go to edit the lunger, etc., and coach and see if we have anybody. There's nobody available. Mm-hmm. So we're going to go back even further. We're going to go to their member registration form.
Probably we're going to contact OC and say, did you mean to do that? Yeah.
What did you do? They have no people, so we're going to quickly just put in a couple of people.
Hey, OC Vaulters, I think we've got somebody here from OC Vaulting. Is that right?
Yeah, we're here.
Yes. Who's a lunger?
Yes.
Riley Copeland.
Riley Copeland.
Yep.
A lunger, select Abram Stout.
Oh, a lunger, sorry. I'm in a car.
Okay, so we're going to say that Gibran is not a vaulter, but she is a lunger, and a coach, and a trainer, and horse owner. We're going to say that she's all of those things. And then we're going to add her. Okay, and how about a vaulter?
You can select Riley for that.
Okay, I'm Riley
Copeland.
Copeland. Is there here on her? Oh, here she is. Okay. Great. And usually everything's set up for a vault.
While we're on this,
there we go.
While we're doing this, when you noticed that we didn't have a horse or vaulters attached, and we went into the notes. Sometimes,
yes.
I know when I've done registration, I've put in the notes, like if we're not sure if we're going on someone else's horse. Mm-hmm. I've noticed that the competition people running it can't see those notes unless they go into the screens we just went into. Is there a way, Russ, to make that apparent so that when that order of go comes up, or when you view the different screens, that those notes can pop up to the competition?
If you can think of a place where it would be appropriate, where they would see it, I can add it in there.
Maybe even on the individual entry forms, team entry forms, and the Padada entry forms. You know how not on the entry forms, but on the reports for those.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Okay, I'll put it on the list.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That's cool. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's go to now the individual entry, and now we can go to the change horse and lunger, and it gives us an option of Gibran, and we're going to save those changes, and then we're going to edit our vaulter.
All right, so now we have bronze individual, and she is signed up for compulsories, freestyle, and round 2 compulsories. And the nice thing along, when we're looking here, you can see the 3 good checks, and it's very obvious if somebody's missed a round because there's not a check, and it shows up like a sore thumb, and that's a good time to contact the coach of that team and say, is this a mistake or not? So we have done that. We can go back now. Make sure you use this. Do you see this bold right here? It says use return button. So we're going to use that. We're not going to use the back button here. We're going to use the return button. And then we're going to go order of go. Here we go. And we're going to go back to these printing options where we were before. We're going to go ahead and say day 1, blue, generate order of go, and look. Now we have Riley in where she needs to be. to go ahead and make sure that we don't have any missing places. So proofreading these things are super important. That way you can catch a lot of mistakes. And for instance, Kathy just pointed out to me, we still don't have a lunger here for the freestyle. So again, we're going to go back. And by the way, the order of go often opens up its own tab, which is nice. So you can go backwards. Okay, so we're going to go back to OC vaulting. And we're going to do individual entry.
Yeah, one thing I do with a separate tab is I'll go and make changes, and then I'll just go back that tab and refresh. That way you don't have to regenerate the entire order of go again. Well, it does, but you don't have to go through the process.
Great point. Great point. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Add Gibran, save changes. Add Gibran, save changes. And see, now we've got her in all these spaces, so we're going to say done. And like Russ suggested, we're just going to come up here and refresh it. And look at that. That will save a lot of time. It's so nice to have you with us. Okay, so come back here, come back here.
Go to your order of go. Oh yeah, there you go.
Tool management. Okay, so this is if you've got a show that's got like a round 2, and you need to cut out people who didn't make the cut. This is going to be something that's actually going to go away next year, because as of next year, I don't think we're going to have any classes with a round 2. Except for maybe open Clouded. But anyway, this is a place where you can keep people that are going on to a round 2 and not being cut.
You can make changes on this one. You can make changes within the round as well. So was there a class that had 2 people? Come to your order of go again. Here.
Yeah, we've got
3 teams here. What's this class?
Copper Individual.
Let's go to Copper Individual Compulsories. And conflict with another arena, another ring. And so select that. And so here we can say, okay, Harborview is first and Willamette is second. We want to move the go. We want to move Genevieve. Okay. Here.
You want to move the go?
Let's
move
the whole
sequence?
go. Yeah,
okay.
Let's move the go. Sorry.
So we can make them second and them first, right?
Mm-hmm. And you modify. And then you modify it, and then Willamette is first and Harborview is second.
So if we do this, then we can look again and do this some little shortcut that Russ just told us. Ta-da!
And they have flipped in your order of go. Any questions so far?
Okay. Okay. And a nice thing to do with this order of go is you can save it. Let's see. There's a way to save it as a PDF, and I'm trying to remember how that is.
Usually what I do is I just print it to a PDF. However, you usually want to do a print preview first to make sure that the pagination is correct. Since the pagination is determined by the browser, different browsers have different number.
Okay. Yeah, because what Russ is saying right here, we're seeing in this preview where the bottom of our pages is dipping down into page 2. And it's, you know, you could still work with it, but it's not ideal. It's kind of messy. So if we want to come back, I'm going to close that. If we want to come back here and go to the printing options, and let's say we play with this just a little bit and say 55 lines per page and see what that does for us. And if I go back here and if I go print and if I open a PDF preview, let's see what happens. Oh, look, now we're all on one page. So that's nice. A pretty little sunshine show. And I can export this as a PDF. And I'm going to call it our sunshine day 1 blue. And I'll put it on my desktop so that it's handy. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and close these. I'm going to go back to the administration, and I'm going to upload event documents. And then I'm going to say, this is the order of go, day 1, blue. And there are ways, if you have a big show, that you can just save these as a spreadsheet that you can just kind of click between the days and the arenas. But since our sunshine show is just a little itty bitty show, we can just put it on the one page. Now I'm going to look for it here. Here it is, and I'm going to upload it. And I'm going to click Upload File. It's been uploaded. So now what I can do, see down here, I've got my list of things that are on my my page. I've got the prize list, and I have my order of go. So I'm going to go, and if I just want to go look at it, I can go back to main just to make sure that everything's coming nicely. Anybody can access this page. They don't have to have a password or anything, so parents can come find this, whatever. If I click on here, look, here's our nice little order of go. Okay. Any questions on this before we move on to the next thing? I'll go back into here because we're going to be back here next. Okay, hearing no questions. And by the way, if you think of something, feel free to just go ahead and ask it. I'm passing the computer on over to Kathy for the next piece that we're going to touch on.
Okay, so the next part is setting up our scoring. So stuff for the show taken care of. We've everybody signed up for the show. The close of entries has come and gone, and the order of go has been created. So we need to go back to our main, and actually all the way back to the competition selection page. Down here, right above all the shows, is CompWeb scoring and competition selection. So you click here, and now we're into the scoring program. So we are going to go down and find our sunshine show again. And here's our 4 teams, and everything looks very similar, except here we are at the scoring and login. So we're going to go to the Scores login page. Oops, let's go back. This one you can use the back button. It's kind of fun. If once scores are starting to be put in, you can go in as a team using your password that you used to sign up for the competition. It's the same password to get into the scoring for your team. Scores login is a little different. Admin is our username, and our password for our show is 338015. And we're going to log in.
And can I ask Russ, is there a reason that there's not a place where you can change your password in this particular section?
Actually, you can either add and remove scoring users.
Okay.
Oh, look at
okay. You can change it here.
Okay, let's do that.
Let's edit this and make it also webinar.
Thank you, Russ.
Thanks, Russ.
And there you can also add other scores and with different capabilities. So admin can do everything. However, if you make a user that is just score, they can't do all the admin stuff. They can only enter scores.
Okay, so if we just put score and they were webman, and all they then could do would be the scorer portion, so we could add them. Okay. Okay. So there's this big than it used to be, and it's this button right here. This is where you're going to set up what score sheet is being used for what class, what file report for one judge, what file report for two judges, etc., here, if you're going to separate between men and women. Some of them have been set up here. We can go and this has all the classes that were in it to begin with. So let's go to, I think I have a walk barrel, and then you're going to select your freestyle. This has none in it because walk barrel is an unrecognized class. So we are going to click on our little drop down here, and we're going to do the individual barrel free and one judge. And the file report for the round, really there isn't one because there's only one judge. And for barrel, we're not going to separate men and women. And then we just add that class and round to our big ugly table. And you can see where walk barrel now here has been added with the reports needed. If we come down to, did I add C-Team? We have a C-Team Freestyle, which is an ABA recognized class. So as you can see, Russ or his predecessor has already set up the score sheet to be used and the judge, or the main report for one judge. And because it's a team, there is no separation between men and women. We go ahead and add that. Go to our C-Team Freestyle. Oh, that's 1 star. That was freestyle.
Yeah, you already did.
Never mind. Okay. So, here we go again. No differences. Putting that in. And there were a couple. Where this is the ABA recognized class, however, the score sheet type is missing. So we're going to go ahead and add in the score sheet and the one judge. And then it's got all these other ones filled out, as well as separating men and women. So we're going to update. Okay. Freestyle. Good. And the one judge was missed. Everything else is there. Score sheet's missing. Most of them have the score sheet, but there are a few, so just beware of that, because it could be then when you come to scoring, if you miss that section, your scorer may come to you and say, can't do that. It won't let me. What's going on? Okay, so you basically, let's come back here. You're going to do that for all your classes that you have people in. Okay, Copper Freestyle. Yeah, I'll be welcome to. Okay, so once you have all of these in, then your competition basically is ready to get started with the scoring. To do scoring, oh wait, you can add or delete judges. Kendall has notified us she's no longer going to be able to judge, so we're going to delete her. But in her place, we were able to get Christy Duber. That's how you add and subtract your judges. And you do need to do this before you actually go in to do the scoring, because it will. I'll wait for it to think. This is where you can add or remove like we did before when we changed our passwords. That was so nice. Okay, so now we're going to go in and do scoring, right?
I may have missed this earlier, but did you say how we get our password for going in and doing scoring, since it's different from our club password?
I will show you something cool here. You get your when you get your email from the CompWeb administration, it will show you here. So it comes with this administration password, which we have changed to a webinar, and then it also gives you your scoring username and your scoring password all in the same email.
Perfect. Thank you.
Welcome.
We'll go into the actual scoring in just a minute when we get down to running the competition. So,
okay, so in your emails you should have received this handy little list, and we'll come back into how to enter scores in just a little bit. But at this point, what we want to do is start getting the overall areas ready. So it is setup time, basically. So we've come to the show. We've got all the horses are moving in to the stalls. We've got the judges table needs to be set up. So here's a list of things that we found that judges always need. And you might have judges that have specific requirements or specific needs, so you might want to check with each judge. But always they're going to need to be up on a stand. That's a rule. It has to be at least 18 inches or something like that off of the ground. You need a long table, long enough that you're able to sit 3 people at it. The judges will need a bell. A lot of judges travel with their own bells, but it's a good idea to have one there just in case. 3 chairs. They all need pens and pencils. They need a calculator for doing some scoring. You need some kind of timing device. A lot of people like to use their phones anymore, but it's a good idea to have some kind of another type of a timing device. Judges always need snacks, coffee, waters, drinks, something to keep them going. They're sitting there for a long time. They have to pay attention for a very long time. So we do what we can to keep their brains going. Hand sanitizer if they want to have something before they have their snack. Kleenexes, it's just a personal comfort thing. You know, they got to have something if they need to blow their nose, whatever. Scratch paper, they all need an order of go. Specifically, your clerks will need order of goes to make sure that they've got the right scorecards in front of themselves. And you're going to, beforehand, prepare your class folders with your score sheets in them so that they're all ready to go. Back in CompWeb, there's a place that you can print labels for your score sheets that'll have the information. You don't have to and maybe at the end of this, Kathy, you can show them where that is. Mm-hmm. But these need to be done before your show. So you're going to have a separate folder for each class and each round. So you're going to have a separate folder for copper compulsories, which is, what is that, 34A or something like that. It's A, and you're going to have a separate class for the B of that, a separate folder. And in that folder, you're going to have all the score sheets. And sorry, I got distracted by a little thing that popped in there. And they're going to be in the order of go, so that when the clerk is looking at things, he or she doesn't have to fish through all the score sheets to find the person that's up next. So you want everything to be in great order, and in that box, it's going to be in the order of the class. So that clerk, all that clerk has got to do is pull out that folder for that class and open it up, and he or she will have the scorecard for the next vaulter that's coming up. You want to make sure that that's as organized as can possibly be to make things run smoothly for your judges and your clerks. And the score sheets, you can order those at the close of entries, and Kathy will have you show them how to count the close of entries and how to order your score sheets in just a little bit. They need a prize list so that they know who's coming up next. Tablecloths are really nice. You want the environment to be pretty nice for your volunteers and for your judges. If you want to have decorations, put them there. Comfort aids. A lot of times when we're vaulting up here in the Northwest, almost to Canada, we like to put like a little heater underneath the judge. Because it can be pretty cold in the spring up here. Or, if you're down south and it's hot, you might want to have a fan for your judge. Just things just to make them comfortable. In the office, you got to have tables and chairs, 2 computers at a minimum. You need a printer and a copier. Bring lots and lots of paper. You're going to go through a lot of paper. Bring extra ink for the same reason. You're going to go through a lot of ink. Lots of pens and pencils. Have spare orders of go. Have the volunteer list in the office. You'll want to have that posted out there in the stable area where everybody can see it, but you're going to find that people are going to come to your office person can answer some questions. Stapler, team folders, and envelopes. Because at the end, you're going to be giving the teams their copy of the score sheets so that they can take those home with them. Scratch paper, change forms. You're going to find that at every show, somebody's horse is probably going to go lame, and they're going to have to do some scrambling and find different horses for their kids. And they're going to bring you change forms so that you can change it into CompWeb. It's important that you change those things in CompWeb because there are prizes for certain horses who do good work. And we want to make sure that the horses that do the work get the credit. Grievance and protest forms, we're required to have those on hand in case somebody has an issue with whatever. We need to provide them with some way of expressing whatever their problem that they're having is. Really important, Wi-Fi and hotspot. It's really important that you actually test that out at your facility. We personally have had issues with this. For instance, we went to a place that supposedly had Wi-Fi, and we were counting on that, and it was sketchy at best. And when other people were trying to get on, it just didn't work, and we ended up having to shuttle scorecards to a nearby hotel where people were staying to use their internet. So to counteract that, Kathy brings her little hotspot wherever we go, just to make sure that we have access to the internet for the CompWeb system. Your teams that are attending your show should have sent you their hold harmless forms. Each team, it's a good idea to have a folder for each team's paperwork and have that on hand. You can just put it in a box and stick it under a desk or something like that, but it's good to have that information should there be an emergency. Have lots of little baskets to organize your area. You'll need some baskets for incoming score sheets, for instance, ones that still need to be inputted, and you'll need some baskets for the printouts for like placings, because you're going to want to post a copy of those. You're going to want to send a copy of that to your ribbon person, and you're going to also want to save a copy of that to eventually send into the ABA. So bring a back. You're going to have lots of clipboards for different locations. For instance, your music people, your gatekeepers, all those people need order of those so that they know. Power strips, posting areas for scores. I'm kind of going through this quick. Is anybody having any questions or thoughts on these? Everybody's good? Okay, we're going to start talking about the music person. Another really important thing is that you check your sound system that you've got in your ring. Some people bring their own sound systems. Some people have used the PA systems that are at the arenas that you're at. So just make sure you got something that's working. It's pretty tough to do a show without a working sound system. I was at a show one time, and maybe I mentioned this before, but the power went out, and so there was no sound system. So somebody actually drove their car in there and played it over the speakers of their car, because the music is just an integral part of a vaulting show. You need a microphone for your announcer. You need a computer. If you're uploading music onto your computer or downloading music onto your computer, or a CD player, I personally really, really like downloading music on a computer, because you don't have to shift through everybody's CDs. You don't have load time. You don't have to find tracks. It's just all right there. So if you can do it on a computer, that's really the way to go. And you need fewer volunteers if you do it that way too. Of course, you need a table, put things on, minimum of 2 chairs, 2 order of go, pencils, power strip, and extension cord. Don't forget your extension cord. Done that. Gatekeepers. The gatekeeper needs an order of go on a clipboard and a pencil, because they need to be able to check people in. And it's good to have an assistant for that gatekeeper too, because sometimes, especially if a show is running early, but sometimes even when it's on time, you might be looking for a team that's supposed to be in the warm-up ring and they're not there. It is really nice to be able to send somebody and say, hey, go look for such a team. They're supposed to be here, and go find out what's going on with that. The judges need their own place to decompress sometimes during breaks and lunch times. So, and inside that place, they need to have their meals, snacks, drinks, and bathroom access. It's really nice, especially in areas where most everybody has to use a porta potty, to be able to arrange for the judge to have an actual bathroom, even if nobody else is able to use it, to arrange with the facility for the judge to use a facility that has a flush toilet. It's just nice for the judge to be able to do that. So, you know, check with your facility and see if that can be arranged if you can. Okay. For the ribbons, you need extra long table. I'm not sure why that didn't get put on there, but an extra long table, you need hangers. To hang your ribbons on, there's a lot of different methods people use for that. Some people use coat hangers and they hang the ribbons. The stickers, you can print stickers for sticking on to the back of the ribbon. You don't have to handwrite if you don't want to, and Kathy will show you how to do that in a little bit. Oh, I see what's going on here. You need the scores for each class so they know which stickers to put on which ribbon, and pens. Okay, in the arena, make sure that you check your rule book, make sure that your arena is appropriate for your show. Spectator seating, you need to have some way to divide the circles from the spectators. Some people only just use like a little dressage pole, and that's enough. It doesn't have to be a full-on wall. It just has to be something that demarcates the difference between where people are supposed to be and where horses are going to be. You need to make sure that you have flour. This is something that I personally forget a lot, is a bag of flour or shavings to mark the center of the circle, so that when the arena is dragged, the person coming in knows where the middle of the circle is. Don't forget to make sure you have a competition barrel on hand if you're going to offer barrel classes. And people need space to warm up their horses or to ride their horses so that they are good and warmed up and have on their listening ears for the competition ring. And another thing that's often forgotten for some reason is the muck bucket and rakes, so that your cleanup crews have something to use. In the ring. And if you want, bring decorations and make it a real festive place to be. Any questions on the list? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to go ahead and go back, let Kathy show you these other things that we were going to do as far as tables and things like that went. And stickers. Let's see. Yes. Did we have a question?
Well, I do. This is Debbie.
Okay, hi Debbie.
Hi. I have a quick question, and it might have been covered before, and I'm drawing a blank. When all the classes are chosen, or the library of classes, is it a universal numbering system up to a certain point? Is it like all ABA classes are numbered universally?
Yes. There are certain classes that have prescribed numbers, and we should never change them.
Okay.
Those ABA classes will come up with those numbers already.
Well, it's just like sometimes I've used files of music from one competition to another, and I've noticed that what I used for a novice walk at one competition isn't numbered the same at the next competition. So I was wondering, when is it that those numbers stop? Is it at trot, or how far down the list do the universal numbers go?
Yeah, the ABA recognized classes have prescribed numbers, and also the FEI events also have prescribed numbers, which are in the 50s. And but if it's a non-recognized class, then people are pretty free to make up certain numbers. So what we have, the prescribed numbers, and I think Kathy is, that's what I'm kind of looking for. You can see where the class numbers are, and there at the end where we have some right here Sunfest classes with just kind of made up.
On the CompWeb main page, there is, in the welcome thing, there's a pointer to a list of the standard classes and their numbers.
Where was that, Russ? I'm sorry.
On the CompWeb main page, before you log into anything. But basically, standard numbers go up through the 50s. So anything above that is free game. And usually what I end up doing is, for non-standard stuff, I start at 100.
Those are the standard classes. Did you see where I got that? If you're up here in this section, welcome to it, there's all ABA standard classes. Click there, and that gets you this listing. And those are all the standard numbers used for these particular classes. You can see P-Trot, which is not recognized, has a number, and usually we'll put walk 38 or 39, and sometimes fill in a little bit there. Before the FEI classes, the SEF classes, here we would go into the 50s. In Region 3, normally class number 50 is a music interp class called the Shannon class that we have up here. And yeah, these here we want to keep there. So when you're adding classes, just go ahead and make sure your numbering follows where you're at. I think that's what it is. Does that answer your question, Debbie?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Few competition forms. This is where you can get the score sheet order form if you want to order your score sheets. You'll note here that you either email or mail this form and a copy of your check to Carol Butler, but then you send your check and a copy of this form to the ABA office. So how do you come up with these numbers? Okay. Let's climb back in here. And this all vaulters entered gives you every single vaulter in every single class. So that's really a broad amount. So we're going to go, we actually want to use this event summary report, which gives you your count per class of number of people that are signed up for it. So you can see the ones where we're separating female and male. For score sheets for that class, you would of course want to add those two together. You can pretty much use these numbers for your score sheet and how many you need for whatever. Let's see. If you have two judges, you would want to, of course, double the amount for the number of judges that you have, or double the amount for the number of competitors that you have here. So if you had two judges judging C team, you would need 2 score sheets for compulsories and 2 score sheets for freestyle. Okay? Basically what I do in ordering, if I'm going to order score sheets, is I will just order score sheets for these ABA classes because they come in duplicate already. Any of these ABA classes. They already come in duplicate. If it's an unrecognized class, we don't have to send in any of the score sheet copies or the original score sheets for unrecognized classes. So I just make a copy of them. And did I lose my ABA? So here you can print out the ABA score sheets as well if you would like. I will do this if I have a just a barrel class. Yep. This score sheet may look familiar to you. You can see it comes with 2 score sheets on the same 8.5 by 11 page, so you can cut that in half and put your sticker here, and then you have it for your barrel class. Team, any barrel freestyle, kind of fun. You have one sheet for all these different things. You can do that also with any of your ABA classes. Just go ahead and print them out and just know that you would need to make a copy to give to the participant, because the original will need to go to the competition secretary at the end of the show. We'll kind of go into that on our May 12th meeting when we're taking a look at how to close up a show. Here, score sheet labels. You can pick whatever class you want to pick do your score sheet labels on. You can do all rounds, only round C and D, skip round C and D. And you can also do all classes, which is it's a savings, I think, because then you don't have all these empty labels on your sheet. We'll create a label file. Okay, so you can see it prints 2 labels for the same person doing the same thing, and then it goes to the next label and the next class. So you do have to be careful when you're putting your labels on your score sheet that you have the correct score sheet for the label that you are putting on. That sometimes can get really tricky if you are going along and you have 30 or 40 people in your trot compulsory class, and all of a sudden it changes to trot freestyle, which is right underneath it. You can see how the freestyle is right underneath the compulsory, and you're still going along on the compulsory form and putting freestyle labels.
Yes, it's every time.
It's sometimes hard to get off those score sheets once they're set there. So that's how you would get your score sheet labels. Just right on CompWeb. It's pretty fun. Okay, so that's where your score sheet labels are and the ordering. Ribbons and ordering ribbons. I think we'll fun little item. Basically, I personally needed a way to determine how many ribbons to order. So I kind of set this up one day and said, okay, all your teams, we have one team, there's 6 people on the team, so I need 6 first place ribbons and 6 overall ribbons. But there's only one team, so that's all I need for that class, both for freestyle and compulsories and freestyle. This one, I had 2 teams, and actually there was a potential of 7, so I should probably have had 7 6th place or 2nd place as well for compulsories. 7 overall, because you don't know who's going to get first and who's going to get second when you're ordering your ribbons. You don't know these things. You want to be sure that in your, you have 2 males, 2 females. On your separation ones, that you have your 1 male here, like in silver. You have your 1 male who is separate, so he gets his 1 overall, and your females get their first, second, and third overall. This one, there happened to be 9 people, so this last column would be if you do participant ribbons for your show. It's a show management decision, how many ribbons you're going to give out and such. If you're going to do participant ribbons, that's where you would pick those up. And we chose those based on compulsories because we figured everybody's going to do compulsories in whatever class they're in, and there's not many, if any, competitors that only do barrel at a horse show, even though barrel's offered. So we have chosen to take it from compulsories on the horse for their participation ribbon. And so it tallies itself all down so that you know this is how many first place ribbons, second, third, fourth, etc., etc. How many participants, how many overall. This is the Shannon class that I was talking about. We do special ribbons. There's not a first, second, third place. Everybody gets the same ribbon for that class since it is a honorary class where the donation actually goes to Children's Hospital in Seattle. So that's kind of how I tally to order your ribbons. You can get your ribbons from your local whoever. Hodges Badges, I believe it is, the AVA does have an account with. And so they are familiar a lot with the AVA, what the AVA wants their ribbons to look like. You can go wherever is close to you to get ribbons, or if you want to order them, that's a show management decision on that one. Kind of up to you.
What is common though is that you need to give them a good 2 weeks and probably 3 weeks before your show starts. Otherwise, your ribbons are going to be there next to the show, and that's definitely.
And it's a very panicky moment.
Yes.
To do the labels that Lori was talking about for the ribbons, basically I do a mail merge. From this all vaulters entered, I will do a mail merge and kind of in Word and change the headings to what I want it to be. If I want to, I will add a sunshine show at the first column, and then the class and the name and the round, the club, the vaulter, And that's usually about what I put on our ribbon labels. For overall, it doesn't have a name. For all other classes, it has the name, and then depending on the place that the person comes into, your ribbon people would look through the ribbon labels that are also by class, find that person's name with the class in the round, and take that sticker and put it on. So we found that that's worked pretty well. Sometimes it takes a little bit of training with your ribbon people to make sure that they understand how the ribbon labels are laid out and that they can be cognizant and understand that part. Okay. Any questions?
Is there a way, like with the score sheets, that a label could just be created for that right within the system?
That's a Russ question.
Yeah, there is. On on the admin page, there's a create score sheet labels.
Cut out just a little bit there, Russ.
What was that?
You cut out a little bit. We didn't hear.
Oh, okay. On the main admin page of CompWeb, there's a create score sheet labels.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, what it does is it'll create an Excel file with all the labels.
Okay, so then you can just do a mail merge with that?
So if you select the class, you see up the top there, you can select an individual class or all classes.
Correct.
And then print all rounds, and it creates labels, and then it'll create a spreadsheet. And the spreadsheet will be for standard labels that are too wide, two labels wide. There you go.
So these are for the score sheets. Then I suppose you could use those also for ribbons, so it would give you double the...
Oh, for ribbons, you do that on the scoring report. You have the option of creating ribbon labels there.
Out of the scoring.
Yeah, so you might want to get to that once you get into the scoring section.
Okay.
Because you'll have to have scores in order to create labels.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Oh, I'm lost. I'm down to none. Okay, so
If you view reports, and you can see the box over on the right-hand side. It says enable printing of ribbon labels.
Oh,
So
okay. Okay, let's play with that a little bit, because I think, are we to where we're going to do some scoring?
Yeah, you don't have any scores yet, so you don't have any reports to choose
I don't
from.
have to choose, so,
okay. Thank you.
interesting.
Do our scores pre-scoring, our labels for ribbons pre-scoring, so that they're all ready for our ribbon people, but this might be something else that we'll need to do, another option.
Yeah, the nice thing of doing it this way is it actually puts the place and the score on the ribbon label.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Is there anything else that goes?
No, I don't think so. Any questions on ordering ribbons or the score sheet labels and score sheet ordering?
Okay, so we've got our show ready and it's running, and we've got scores starting to come in. The score sheets are being filled out by the clerks, signed by the judges, they're being put in folders, and your runners are bringing them into the office. And what your office people, your scorers, are going to see is a folder full by class of all the participants in that class. And they're going to come into this area. We're going to click Do Scoring. And so let's say we get our C-Team 1-star compulsories in here. We're going to say Sue is judging this class.
It'll say on your score sheet who's judging it.
Mm-hmm. It looks like Harborview Walters is the team to score here. And we are going to, and see all this sheet has been set up from that big ugly table that we had before. And in a team situation, you might have a vaulter that's not being used in the freestyle. So in other words, they might have an alternate, and they'll have to declare that person, and you'll have to mark that person. But since apparently we do not have an alternate here, we'll just leave this at none.
Normally the teams have 6 people as well. At Harborview, we only set up 4 people, so that's all we have.
Yeah, but we have their names here. So Vaulter 1, 2, 3, and 4. We'll just throw some numbers in there. Say Genevieve's got a 4, and you're reading this right off the score sheet, and you're putting it here, just like that. We'll just say she has a fantastic band, not so good, same. Because you want somebody to be reading them, and somebody put them in, and you're going to verify that what's put in is right. It's happened many times that these scores go in and something is mistyped, and it really makes a big difference, and people get kind of upset when the correct scores have not been put in.
Also, on your scoring people, they may come to you and say, I don't know if this is a 5 or if it's a 9 or if it's a 6. And you may have to take it back to the judge and have it confirmed, verified, or whatever. That is something that you would do when the judge is done scoring a certain person or whatever. You don't want your scores going back there. That would be your office administrator usually that's going to do that. That would take the score sheet back to the judge.
And when your people are sitting around and they look at these and they say, yep, those are the scores, then your scorer clicks this button and they're verified. Oh, and we have to have a horse score, let's say. There we go. And so together, they've got a 5.881 as their score. And then we submit the scores. And then, since this is all there is for this class, we're going to select another class to score. So we do copper just to show, just going to do our thing. Okay, so we've got these 3 people in this particular class. We'll go ahead and do her. It automatically pops in. That's interesting. Yeah, that was just what we filled in there. Oh, okay. Here's where Sue pops up. We will throw in some scores here.
You do want to make sure that you have your person highlighted there on the left-hand side of whose scores you're putting in, or the input of the scores is kind of for naught, because once you hit a name over there, it does.
Yeah, the normal sequence when entering is you have a reader and you have an inputter. And so the inputter will grab a score sheet, say who it is. They'll also say who the horse and lunger is to make sure that it hasn't changed. It corresponds to what's going on in CompWeb. Then the reader will read down all the scores, and the inputter will input them as they go. And after they're all put in, the inputter will hit submit scores, which will then total everything, and then read back the scores back to the reader to make sure that they are indeed what was on the score sheet, and then also read back to the inputter the sums that aren't on the score sheet yet, so that the score sheet will have the sums added into them. Then once the reader has those sums put on, the reader will read back to the inputter the scores just to make sure that they wrote them down right. And then at that point, it's all verified, and you can hit the verified button.
Okay, good. And that way, it ensures correct entering of scores.
You can see there on the left now for that person, it does show verified after her name, and you can move on then.
So here we have Sylvie, and the horse and the lunger, and
so I being the reader would say mount 5.2, basic seat 6, flag 3, stand 7, forward swing might be 5, half mill 5, rear swing 6, horse score 7.
And so I submit these scores, and I read back. Mount 5.2, seat 6.0, flag 3.0, stand 7.0, swing 5.0, half mill 5.0, swing rear wave 6.0, full compulsory is 37.2, horse 7.0, final compulsory score 5.5. Total compulsory is 37.2, final compulsory 5.525. And we agree, and we verify it, and submit the course. And now it changes class. Indiana Jones, Catherine Seeley, her review, Sue. And if you're reading.
When you're the inputter, the tab key is your friend because it'll go from each field to the next one. And so usually what I do is I enter the numbers with my right hand and hit the tab key with my left.
Okay.
Another shortcut. Okay. 4.2, 5.0, 6.7, 8.0, 4.9, 6.0, 5.0, or score 6.2.
So we have mount 4.2, basic 5.0, flag 6.7, standard 0, swing forwards 4.9, half mill 6.0, swing rear wave 5.0, total comp, compulsory is 39.8, or 6.2, final compulsory is 5.758.
Okay, total compulsory is 39.8, final score, final compulsories is 5.750.
What happens if you catch a mistake? say the one misheard the other. How do you fix that?
We can go back up here. Let's say I misheard basic speech. What is it really?
It really is 5.5.
So I can come back up here and I can change that. But you do all this before you verify things, because once it's verified, it's in stone. So we can say this, and it changes everything. So reading back through the list, we've made our changes. It changed the total compulsory to 40.3, first 2.2, final compulsory is 5.813.
So you want to make sure that your reader then corrects that on the score sheet that is given to either competition secretary and the person, the competitor, both.
But once it has been verified and you really have caught a mistake, then how do you fix that?
If the mistake is caught after verification?
Yes.
You can still change it after verification.
You can change it after verification, is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So let's say Caitlin comes back.
Her stand was actually a 6.0. It was a funny number. So then that does change her total compulsories and her final compulsory score. So the score sheet would be updated.
I don't know what that is. So, there, okay. Oh, can I hit that? Okay, so I'm hitting submit new scores. I click when scores are verified, and I'm not sure what's going on there. There it goes. And then I'll submit it, and there we're verified again. So then if we want to go back to, well, if we want to go and look at this class, oh, I haven't done the freestyle yet. Here is the sheet for this particular round. This is 34A, and here are the placings. And you're going to want to print out 3 copies of this page. One for the AVA, one for posting that people can look at, and one for the ribbons people so they know who got first place ribbon, second place ribbon, and so on.
And now that you have a class of scores, you could go back and see what the ribbon labels look like. So go to report section, view reports.
Thank you.
Click the enable box there, yeah. And so you just want for the judge.
Mm-hmm.
Now you see down at the bottom you have some new options. So you can say how many places you want to do ribbons for, how many of each place to do. For example, when you have a team, you want to give a ribbon to each participant, so you'd have to have one for each participant.
Mm-hmm.
And the number of rows is something that's specific for each printer. Each printer is a little bit different on its spacing, and so you can adjust that so that your labels stay on the labels as it goes down the page. So a little bit of trial and error, but then once you figure out what it is for your printer, then that works. Well, that's bizarre.
But in theory,
Yeah.
in theory, it would have three labels.
So, see.
If I did this, I would have thought it make a difference.
Oh, did you do the men or the women? You didn't have any men, so that's probably why I didn't.
Okay, so let's see here. Oh, I'm seeing. Okay, I see what you're doing. Okay, so really we need to be up here. So this should show us. Okay. So this is first.
Okay, so it's down on the page because you told it to skip down so far, and that's for in case you have a label page that you've already used some of the labels on.
Okay.
But that shows you what the format looks like.
If I put 0, there it is. Nifty.
So it says who it is and what place and what their score was.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. Any questions on that fun little feature? Okay, so if we do another class, so I want to show you what it's like to finish a class out. Restoring. If we do the freestyle part of that class, and a certain Genevieve. Okay, these are pretty easy. Okay, if you're my reader, Kathy, go ahead and tell me what to do.
Content. 6.9. .3, 6.0.
Okay, so I have 6.9, 7.3, 6.0. Total freestyle is 41.7. Total freestyle style score 6.950. Okay.
So you also have to read that third column,
Okay.
or that other column.
13.8, 21.9, 6.0, 41.7, 6.950.
And I'll say 13.8, 21.9, 6.0, 41.7, 6.950.
That's correct.
Validate. You do want your final score to go out 3 spaces after your decimal point. Always.
Okay.
Even when you're writing it on the score sheet.
Sylvie.
Sylvie, 5.9, 6.2, 6 for horse score.
Okay. So 5.9, performance 6.2, whole 6.0. The scores of 11.8, 18.6, 6.0, 36.4, 6.0, 6.7.
And your reader will be writing those other numbers on the score sheet, so you may have to adjust when you say them.
Okay.
How fast you say them.
Slow down a little
Slow
bit.
down just a bit.
Okay.
6.9, 8.2, 7.0. Okay.
Okay, I have 6.9, performance 2, 13.0, The score is 13.8. 24.6. Okay. 7.0. Total freestyle 45.4. And freestyle score is 7.57. Correct. Okay. So now we have both A and B of this class. And so what we can do is we can, well, first we can see this particular class, 34B. Oh, and look, Caitlin wins. And 3 copies of these. You've got the posting board, you've got the ADA and the ribbons people. Page. We can go to upper freestyle again. If we want to see the overall for this round, we're going to hit combined scores for the selected round. And this is, it'll show you your compulsories and your freestyle, and this is your overall placing. And it's kind of fun. They all got changed up as it does a lot of times. Again, free. If you're giving out overall ribbons, free. They go to the same people. Okay, any questions on these? If you had 2 or more judges, we didn't in this particular class, but a lot of times at USCF shows, and especially selection trials, you might have 2 or 3 judges. Scores to look at, you would hit this button and it would show you the overall scores for all the judges, the combined scores. Okay. I mean, this is really is 101. I mean, this is just pretty basic. Fun little show. Fun little one-ring show, really. So, let's see.
Anybody have any questions on anything from any of the seminars so far that you got questions on? Okay. Well, this should actually get you through pretty much the rest of the competition.
That big box in the middle that says modify table score holding scores. If you really screw up a class and you want to start over, you can enter in the class number and the round number and then delete scores so that you can just start over completely. Or if there's particular bad ones.
Okay. So let's say, you know, this
Yeah, generally you don't want to modify it there because, well, although you can, you don't really know what the scores are going to. So,
yeah.
So usually it's just used for clearing out stuff and starting over.
So just saying remove. So if we removed it here and say done, we go back to do scoring. Here is not blank. So we could redo her scores here. Okay. Right, how is everybody feeling as far as your ability to put together a show so far?
Yeah.
It's a lot of information. That's for sure.
Is there a manual, a CompWeb manual?
There is, and it is right here.
It's quite dated, however.
It is dated.
Basic information is still the same.
Yeah, most of the information is similar. It's not the same. So if you do get stuck, you can go to the manual. Or
Which is where?
It's at the very first page when you open up vaulting.swcp.com.
Right.
Takes you to here, and here you see the logo, and it's these links right here that take you to the manual. So here, there's a manager's quick start manual, a scoring quick start, a volunteer quick start. Here we've got things that are a little bit more detailed and complete.
And if for some reason you don't find it in the manual, Russ is very good about, if you shoot him a question, he'll get back to you. And sometimes it's user error, and sometimes you just have missed it. So
yeah, sometimes you discover something that is a little sweet.
And we thank you for that, Russ.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, on the reports, there is one new report that I put in on January that reports all the scores of all classes for the whole event.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's under scoring?
Yeah, underscoring, under reports. And Marianne Rose used to compile the scores for the AVA website, where she would go on each report and cut and paste it into a spreadsheet. And after she passed away, I don't think anybody would be willing to do that. So I created this new report that essentially does it.
So I'd like to see that. Admin and webinar. Because that's the nice thing too.
So under view reports.
Here.
And down at the bottom there. And you can put it out as a spreadsheet or just as a web page. And
look at that.
How does someone from the general public find it? Like we used to find the results on the AVA website. So,
well, they are now putting this report onto the AVA website.
Oh, wonderful.
We did get last year's caught up, so all of last year's are on there now.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for that, Russ. Anything else? Okay, when we come back on May 12th, the competition, the NEW, the Northeast Washington Fest, will have happened. And so what we're going to show you on that day, and it shouldn't take very long, but we're going to show you how to compile and turn in the AVA paperwork that you need to turn in to close out your show, along with figuring out your check, what the AVA gets, and also the check that region, whichever your region is, gets, and package it up and mail it out before you get a fine, because there are a certain number of days to give you for that. Okay. All right. Well, we're excited because with our Sunshine Show, we are set to go. We have all our stuff together. We've got our score sheets, we've got our ribbons. Everything's all set to go. And between now and then, it's going to happen. Everybody's going to have a great time. And then, as I say, we'll wrap it up. Okay. One last call for questions before we sign out.
I'm going to ask one last question while we have Russ. It was a question from last time, and that was when you were teaching us how to use the volunteer section of CompWeb.
Okay.
Is there any way to be able to use that section without it attached to a competition?
Oh,
Basically, you'd have to create just like you would a competition, but you wouldn't use everything else. However, since we do have a limited number of databases for events, we generally try and keep them for full events.
Thank you very much.
Okay, did that answer your question?
Yes, it did.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Okay. Well, I want to
thank you all so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate all your input. And we appreciate, like I say, the questions that you bring and everything. And if you're missing, let's see, I've got a package of things to send out to Cindy, your things. We'll get that done right away. And we will see you then. Our next one is May 12th, so we've got some time between now and then. But we look forward to seeing you the same channel, the same time.
All right.
Okay.
thank you, Russ, once again.
Yes, thank you, Russ, for being
Thank
here
you.
and helping us out today.
Bye-bye.
Bye.